Hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Hope you're all having a fantastic Monday afternoon. Hope you're all having a good day and I hope you're all having a great start to this week. First of all, do me a massive favour for me, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel and the community if you're new. Share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button, and always remember to put the notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the rest of 2023 on United Red Devils 20. We've got more Fortnite coming up for you, more Rocket League, more EA Sports FC 24 content. We've got more previews, more match reactions, and we've got more brand new content planned for the last few months in 2023 on United Red Devils 20. So please subscribe to the channel and the community if you're new. Thank you. Good afternoon, all you legends and all you legendary people, and welcome to the preview between Manchester United and Newcastle United in the fourth round of the 2023-2024 Carabao Cup fourth round at Old Trafford on Wednesday evening, 8:15, home evening kickoff. Manchester United against Newcastle. And basically, after the shambles that was yesterday and after the abysmal performance from Manchester United, let's face it, and I think let's be really, really honest about where we are. Man United this season, their season is basically over. Forget top four, forget the Premier League, forget the Champions League. I think Manchester United now are realistically relying on the cup competitions to make this a successful season. After the performance yesterday against Manchester City in the Manchester derby that we got battered 3-0 at Old Trafford yesterday evening in the Premier League, I think Man United's season now is make or break from Wednesday. Newcastle is going to be tough. They knocked Manchester City out in the previous round at St James's Park. And I don't think Newcastle are going to look at Man United with anything to fear. They know Man United were poor yesterday and they know they were quite frankly embarrassing and very, very poor to watch. And I think the confidence from their previous win in round 3 against Man City is going to take Newcastle to Old Trafford feeling even more confident that they're going to come away with a win and knock Manchester United, the defending champions, out of this competition. Man United cannot afford to lose this game Wednesday. United have got to win. We need to defend this trophy. We need to win it again. Otherwise, this season is going to be a complete and utter car crash, with it already being one at this current moment in time. We are relying on the Mickey Mouse Cup in the Carabao Cup and maybe the FA Cup to get Erik ten Hag and this Man United side over the line for the rest of the season. This is going to be a tough game. Newcastle are going to come to Old Trafford with nothing to fear. They know after what they watched yesterday, Man United are vulnerable, and they know they're going to be there for the taking. And I think the way Man United played yesterday, I think the way we performed against Man City, if we play like that again, Newcastle are going to come to Old Trafford and they're going to rip Man United apart. Because at the moment, the confidence, the morale is on the floor again. I can't believe the bloody mess this football club is in again. We are absolutely embarrassing. We're pathetic, it's shocking, and it simply is not good enough. Man United need to be setting standards for these players and this squad at this club, and a lot of them are getting away with the crap they did under 2 previous managers, and Ten Hag is feeling the wrath of being the 3rd manager to face the same shit Solskjaer and Ralph Rangnick went through at this football club. Manchester United are in a worse position than where we were last season. We are an absolute nightmare at this current moment in time. We are nowhere near the level we need to be. The confidence around of the players in the squad is on the floor, and Ten Hag is facing even more pressure. And people are pinpointing that Ten Hag was at fault yesterday. Yes, his tactics were questionable, and some of the substitutions were a joke. But I don't know what people are expecting Erik ten Hag to achieve this season with a squad that is simply not good enough. Players he wanted are not here, and players he wanted rid of are still at this club. And the reason why we are failing is because of the players and the squad this manager is having to deal with. And the way we are performing at the moment, those players and that squad need to rebuild the trust from the fans and the supporters. Because after yesterday, the season is basically over. We're not going to get top 4. We're not going to finish in the Champions League places. And we are going to scrape by, finishing basically 8th or 9th, where David Moyes put this bloody football club when Sir Alex Ferguson retired. We're on the verge of probably finishing it in our worst league position ever in this football club's history. And it could only get worse. And I think it will. I think Newcastle is going to be a major tough game for Man United. This is a repeat of the Carabao Cup final in February this year. We are basically relying on Manchester United to beat Newcastle again. What we did to them in that League Cup final, we have got to beat them. Otherwise, I don't see how this season is going to turn out to be a positive one. I don't see where Manchester United are going to be able to win anything, because at the moment, the way we are performing as a team, there is no ambition at this club. I think we are really, really trying to scrape the barrel. And unfortunately, I said this against Sheffield United, I said this against Brentford, and I said this against FC Copenhagen. Manchester United are scraping the barrel from the last 3 games. And Man United yesterday, they got found out and they were absolutely battered in every single way possible. On and off the pitch, this club is in a mess. And it is embarrassing from a fan point of view. It's embarrassing from a supporter point of view. And it's embarrassing watching this team down tools, give up, surrender, and wave the white flag. It is absolutely embarrassing from a set of players that have got the world on their shoulders and the pressure of trying to perform in a United shirt. And what they've done is they've gone back into their own shell, where they think last season was good enough, and the next season after, they'll lay off a bit and don't perform to their maximum ability. I don't know why these players are not performing the way they are. The team looks lost. There seems to be no identity. There's no clear plan. And there's no way I think Man United are going to achieve any greatness this season. I'm sorry. I think this is going to be our worst league season ever. And it's going to get even worse, in my opinion. I think Manchester United are on the downward spiral again. I'm really sorry. But at the moment, I have lost all confidence. I have lost all positivity. I've simply got no trust for this squad. I've got no trust for these players. And unfortunately, the one that's facing the pressure on this is Erik Ten Hag. It's not his fault. It really, really isn't. And people can blame Ten Hag as much as they want for the mess this club's in. Ten Hag has been ruthless with De Gea, Ronaldo, and also been ruthless with players that shouldn't even be in this team. And people are still pointing the finger, blaming Ten Hag for yesterday's mess. I knew deep down we would not win that game. I knew we wouldn't beat Man City. I knew Man City were going to come to Old Trafford and rip us apart. I knew the quality of Haaland, I knew the threat of Foden, and I knew the threat of Grealish. And the Man City midfield is 10 times the ability Man United will ever have. And unfortunately, the mess we are in now, we are relying on the Carabao Cup. If we don't win this trophy and we don't defend it, it is going to look pretty sad. It's going to look pretty pathetic from a Man United team that got to the final against Newcastle and beat them at Wembley. If we can do what we did to them at Wembley, we will win this game quite comfortably. But obviously, at the moment, I think Newcastle could come to Old Trafford and win. I think Eddie Howe, the way that team's playing, is absolutely phenomenal. Yes, their result against Wolves was embarrassing. And obviously, Man United were going to beat Burnley and Sheffield and Copenhagen because they're not good team. Man United beat the bad. However, when you play a good team, Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, it goes wrong. And I completely agree with Daraj Singh's comment in the chat. I absolutely agree. We were expected to beat Sheffield United. We were expected to beat Burnley, and we were expected to beat Brentford, and we were expected to beat FC Copenhagen. But the way that team throw the towel in yesterday after 1-0 down, it's embarrassing. I mean, what happens if we go 1-0 down at home to Newcastle Wednesday night? Are we just going to wave the white flag again and surrender and give up? Because I've never known a squad like this in my life that give up as much as these players do. And unfortunately, they're not getting called out for it. They're getting away with crap performances. And Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher and Roy Keane have no clue what they're talking about. They are absolutely PR people for Sky Sports. They have got no clue what is going on at Man United. They are not inside this football club's mess. I have several sources telling me this club's a mess. It's an absolute joke, and United are back to square number one again. It's embarrassing. And from a fan point of view, like myself, who loved this club, who supported this club since I was a boy, and now all of a sudden, the club we are in now and the club that we've become, I'm not surprised we're in the mess we're in. I said the summer transfer window was crap, and no one wanted to believe it. And unfortunately, I've been proved right. I've been proved pretty bang on to the pure fact that that summer transfer window was simply not fucking good enough. They kept using PR, they kept using financial fair play, and they kept using sell to buy excuses to get away with the mess we are in. I'm not surprised by it. I am not surprised at all. We are an absolute joke. We are a PR machine waiting to tick over to the next day. And United are going to try and spin as much positives as much as they want from him yesterday, but there ain't no positives. There is no positives for Man United at the moment. We're in an absolute mess again. After one bad game, we are back to square number one because Man City taught us a footballing lesson. And I think the quality of Newcastle, Callum Wilson, Bruno Guimaraes, Isaac, you look at that Newcastle front line, Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordon, Bruno Guimaraes. The list goes on of how many great Newcastle players Newcastle now have. And that is down to Eddie Howe and the ownership of their football club. Look how well they're run. Look how well they're doing. I know the Wolves result, it wasn't exactly brilliant from a Newcastle fan point of view. And it was dropped points. And you would have really expected Newcastle United to go to Wolves and beat them. But I'm not surprised because, Newcastle do concede a lot of goals. And I think, they've gone 2 games without a win. So there is a positive from that point of view. But, the quality of Newcastle's goals and the way they're playing as a team, you can't rule out a Newcastle win. They've lost Sandro Tonali for 10 months for his betting on his own games when he was an AC Milan player. And, I do feel sorry for Sandro Tonali. It's not his fault. He's got an addiction to gambling and betting. That's not his fault. And I've got sympathy for the player. I think a 10-month ban is absolutely ridiculous. You need to give him support and you need to give him the love and the care he needs to get over this addiction and give him the help he needs. And I think the FA and the Premier League and UEFA have handled the situation pathetically. They punished Ivan Toney badly, and they've done it to Sandro Tonali. And unfortunately, I don't think it's fair. I think that's probably why Newcastle did not win the game at the weekend. I think having Tonali out that squad and out that team has affected the Newcastle morale. I think they look at that midfield and they know they're basically back to Sean Longstaff again. And I think Newcastle fans are going to miss Tonali. I think in their midfield, he's been a massive, massive improvement for what they've ever had in their lifetime. I think, if I was a Newcastle fan, I would have never expected Tonali to be at Newcastle. I think at AC Milan, he didn't really want to go. He didn't really want to leave. And he really wanted to stay at that club. But obviously, when you put a big offer in like Newcastle did, they're going to get the player in the end. And obviously, he's now been banned for 10 months. And I think that whole midfield went to shit for Newcastle against Wolves. There was no control. There was no balance. And I think the quality and attractive play that Tonali brings to that Newcastle midfield, it showed against Wolves that the quality was missing. Some of the key passes he could make or a pass he could pick out, Newcastle missed that Saturday. And I think that's why, against Wolves, they really, really struggled to break them down. And I think for me, that is why they conceded 2 very, very poor goals from a Newcastle point of view. The way they've been playing, the way they destroyed PSG, I think you wouldn't have expected Newcastle to concede 2 poor goals against a Wolves team that, is a bit bang average under Gary O'Neill. I'm not going to be frank to the point that at the moment, I think, Wolves were lucky to get a point, in my opinion. I think, Newcastle are trying to build a team that is comfortable in the Champions League. They're trying to build a team that you can achieve top 10 in the Premier League for the next 10, 15 years. And I think for me, in my opinion, Eddie Howe, he has done a very good job. People did criticise what he did. He did get them in a relegation fight before the Saudis took over Newcastle. And you look at that team now, and I think, Eddie Howe's got the full back of the owners. They're getting the players he wants. He gets the players out he doesn't want. And they look at that team now, and I think Newcastle is it's quality all over. And I think, the threat of Callum Wilson, again, 2 goals at the weekend, is going to be a big, big problem for United to deal with on Wednesday night. I think, having a goal-scoring striker as a backup to Isaac is not a bad thing. I think having Callum Wilson in that Newcastle team makes Newcastle look a lot better than what they are. I think Isaac's a one-dimensional player that if you ping the ball up long, he brings the ball down a bit against the defensive back 4 of the opposition team. And I think, he's kind of got that Rasmus Højlund vibe about him that, he's a bit of a one-dimensional player that both United teams are trying to target to get the goals from. And I think, Isaac wasn't in the game Saturday, so I think he's injured. So if Isaac's not playing for Newcastle Wednesday, it's a bit of a positive. But when you still got Callum Wilson, it's going to be interesting to see if he can be a big of a threat than what Isaac was offering in the first few games at the start of this Premier League campaign and Champions League campaign for Newcastle. having Isaac and Tonali, your two best players, out of the game is a big loss. I mean, they're probably Newcastle's best standout players in my view. And I think they do a lot to make that Newcastle team what it is today. But I think having them both unavailable, it gives United, in Manchester United, some kind of positivity because they know that threat of the midfield's gone and they know the threat of Isaac is gone as well. So I think it is a positive, but I still think Manchester United are going to struggle to break down Newcastle because, having Lascelles back in that back four, I think, the way they conceded their 2 goals against Wolves, I think having Lascelles at the back was very, very poor from a Newcastle point of view. And obviously, I don't really rate Nick Pope. I think Nick Pope isn't really a great goalkeeper. I think there's a lot better goalkeepers than him in the Premier League. And I think for me, in my view, I think Newcastle, their back four was very weak. And I think soon as Nick Pope, soon as Lascelles has come back into that team, Newcastle looked a lot weaker in the defensive mind of the game. And I think, in my view, Newcastle need to be doing a lot better than what they are. And I think, they should have beat Wolves. They really should have beat Wolves with the quality of players and the squad they have. And they really, in my view, should have got a result. I mean, it's 2 points dropped at the end of the day. Newcastle would have been aiming for the win against Wolves. And, I think they're going to look at the Man United performance, and they've probably watched the Man City game, and they're going to look at that Man United team, and they're going to target every vulnerable position we've got. I mean, the Man United team at the moment is, defensively at 6s and 7s. In the midfield, it's at 6s and 7s. And as to the attack, it's bloody non-existent. And I don't think Newcastle are going to come to Old Trafford and sit back. I really think they're going to go for the game because they know Manchester United at the moment under Ten Hag, it just looks like a completely un-United team. And I think for me, in my view, it wouldn't surprise me if we get knocked out. And if we do get out the Carabao Cup, then forget the rest of the season. There'll be no point competing because what are we left fighting for? We haven't got the FA Cup till December, January. And I think if we go out the Champions League, then we are going to be even more of in a mess. And I think, unfortunately, I'm not surprised by the mess we're in. I mean, it's now bloody raining cats and dogs. That's what it does at United. When it rains, it absolutely pours. And I think Newcastle are going to be a team that is going to be difficult to break down. I think, Tonali's a big miss. We all know. I think Isaac is another huge miss for Newcastle. Having both of them unavailable for Wednesday night, I wouldn't be surprised. And you've also got to think about Harvey Barnes is not in the Newcastle squad either. He's another player that is out injured with a very, very bad injury. I think he's out for 6 months, and I think he's going to miss the rest of the Premier League season. I think he ruptured his Achilles or he's done his ACL. So that's another positive for Manchester United, that they ain't going to have a quality player like Harvey Barnes attacking that United back four when you've got Maguire, Lindelof, Dalot, and maybe Sergio Reguilon comes back in Wednesday as well. But I think Man United at the moment, if you're looking at the team and you're looking at the vibe and the confidence and morale of that squad, you've got to try and pinpoint where the positives are. And I think at the moment, there isn't any positives. There is a lack of anything going on inside this club. There's a lack of, there's a lot of lack at the moment. And I think I may have to go and get the washing in because it's absolutely raining cats and dogs. So yeah, at the moment, Man United are going to have to massively rely on winning Wednesday night, and I'm really hoping we do. I think we have got to win this game Wednesday. We simply cannot afford to be losing a cup competition, which we're relying on. I think if we can find a win to win Wednesday, but it's a scrappy win, at least it's a win, and at least we'll get through to the 5th round, and then maybe from there we go on and defend the Carabao Cup. But you're going to have to rely on, again, of the big teams around Man United to go out. Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham. We're all going to have to rely on all of them going out in the next round as well. But nothing's guaranteed in football. No results are ever guaranteed, but anything can happen when the Carabao Cup comes to town. And I don't want Man United to rely on teams around them. I just want this team to start playing some bloody football and playing it well, because after yesterday, I'm very, very disappointed. I'm very angry. I'm very, very frustrated the way Ten Hag's side are performing. And deep down, I'm not happy. I'm very, very unhappy as a Man United fan at the moment. I'm not happy the way the club's being run. I'm not happy the way Man United are playing or performing. And I think Ten Hag's tactics have got to start being questioned. I'm not blaming him, by the way. This isn't Ten Hag's fault, the mess we are in. I've got nothing but sympathy for the manager. The bigger problem is at the top of this football club. Like, the owners are a joke, the board are a joke, and I think Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports needs to keep this zipped. I think Jamie Carragher, all that comes out his mouth is a load of dog shit. I think he's got no clue what is going on at Man United. He only likes it because Liverpool are having a good season and they're above Man United in the league table. I think Jamie Carragher talks an utter load of bollocks. He's got no clue how the club's being run properly. He's got no way of knowing what's going on because he's not a Man United player. He's an ex-Liverpool reject that never scored a Premier League goal for Liverpool. I mean, embarrassing from an ex-Liverpool reject that had to retire because he wasn't any good anymore. And I think at the moment, you know, they've got the right to criticise the performances and the players, but the bigger problem is at this football club is the Glazers, Richard Arnold, John Murtagh. We do need a full sale, and that is probably affecting the performance on the pitch. I think the players are looking at it, and so is Eric Ten Hag. That what's the ambition for this club's future? Where's this club trying to go? What are we trying to achieve? And what is the clear plan to get this football club back to the top? I don't see any clear plan. I don't see any clear direction. And I think that is why the performances on the pitch are suffering badly. I think when you've got a manager that, you know, cares like the fans do, and so does the supporters, that means a lot to a fan base and a supporters group that love this bloody football club. And I think for me, the players are probably being affected but on a morale basis because they don't know what the future is going to be like if Sir Jim Ratcliffe or the Qataris come in. And I think for me, you know, at this moment, I think maybe that's why we're not playing as a team, because they don't know what the future is going to be like at this football club's lifetime future. And I think for me, like, people can say you can't blame the Glazers, you can't blame the owners, you can't blame the board. Well, yes, I can, because I look at the list of players Ten Hag wanted and Ten Hag really wanted at Manchester United, and did he get any of them? No, he didn't get a João Felix. He didn't get Cody Gakpo. He didn't get the goalkeeper he wanted. He didn't get Frankie de Jong. He didn't get Harry Kane. He didn't get Victor Osimhen. He didn't get Kim Min-jae. And now you look at the mess we're in. We're stuck with Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Lindelof, Dalot, Johnny Evans. And I mean, people in this fan base think they're good enough to be starting in United's next few games. I'm sorry, they are absolutely disgrace of footballers at this club. They are costing Man United, and people think they are good enough to be playing long-term future football at this club. I'm sorry. Those 4-5 players yesterday cost Manchester United badly, as well as the midfield that was getting absolutely run rings round it. And unfortunately, I only saw nothing more than a Man City win. Harry Maguire defensively is very, very poor. Johnny Evans, a 35-year-old defender that is getting sat down on his ass by Jack Grealish, Phil Foden and Kovacic. You've got Lindelof being getting run ringed by Phil Foden. You've then got Dalot, who can't play a simple 5-yard pass to his current teammates, can't find even a cross to put into the box properly, cuts back inside and then passes it back. And then you've got a left-back position that is being left unfulfilled and basically being left hang out to dry. Like, Sergio Reguilón has got to come into the team Wednesday. There is no question about that tactically, leaving Reguilón and Varane out yesterday was a bloody mistake, and it cost us severely. How Varane was dropped because of tactics, and so was Reguilón. It made no logical sense why both players were not in that starting lineup yesterday. I'm appalled that both of them were left out of that game. Both of them should have been starting for Manchester United yesterday, and both of them not starting cost us defensively. We've got no recognised left back starting. We're putting Lindelof at left back when he's a right back. And then you're also playing Lindelof next to Maguire and Johnny Evans. I mean, why did we go for Johnny Evans? Well, we all know why. It's because Man United can get Kim Min-jae and we're doing things on the cheap, and because it was a free transfer. So I'm not surprised the back four is the mess we are in. But unfortunately, some fans and supporters in the Man United fan base think they're good enough and they're very, very good players. Well, I would go back and watch that whole game again yesterday on repeat and watch how bad defensively Johnny Evans, Maguire and Lindelof were. And Dalot ain't got anywhere to hide either. I mean, an awful right back, doesn't get forward enough, can't score any goals, can't put a ball into the box, can't defend, can't run back when the other team's on the attack. Defensively minded, he gets sat down very often. And for me, when you've got a right back that can't even get forward, I mean, apparently that's the long-term future to have Diego Dalot right back. And they're on about giving him a brand new contract. Yet again, another bang average player that should not be at this football club. And people think he's good enough. I'm sorry. He was probably at fault for nearly all three of those goals yesterday, as well as the other back three. I'm sorry, it's an absolute disgrace. I know Nana must be scratching his head thinking, I've come to Man United expecting us to be challenging, and we're nowhere fucking near. And I've got Maguire, Lindelof, Johnny Evans in front of me, as well as Diego Dalot. I mean, what confidence does that give a Man United fan Wednesday if all four of them are starting again? And the problem is people saying, well, we're going to have to rotate, changes are going to have to happen. I would love to know what changes we're making, because we've still got no Lissandro Martinez. We've still got no Malacia or Luke Shaw. Wan-Bissaka is still injured. Ahmad has only come back in training today, so isn't going to be fit for Wednesday anyway. So I don't know how people saying, oh, you can make changes, we're going to have to rotate. Sorry, we can't. Because I guarantee you the back four that started yesterday will play against Wednesday. For me, that's not right. I don't think for me, Maguire, Lindelof and Johnny Evans, Dalot should be anywhere near that starting lineup. I think Reguilon has got to come back in at left back. I think that makes logical sense that we need a recognised left back playing at left back. I think for me, Varane has got to come back in as well. Harry Maguire needs to be dropped. And unfortunately, we will see Lindelof there because, we're having to use Lindelof due to Martinez's injury. And as for Diego Dalot, I'm sorry, I wouldn't even play him in a United shirt again. He is fucking awful. And I think for me, we need to be getting a long-term right back that can get down that wing and put a ball across into the box, because he can't do the work. He doesn't do the work rate, and that frustrates me about Dalot. He's absolutely crap. And I think for me, defensively, he's awful. I mean, if he's getting sat down by Kovacic, Foden and Grealish all in one game, does that not give you concerns that he maybe not be good enough? I mean, I've been saying this about Dalot for how many previous seasons? He's never been good enough when he was brought here. I'm sorry, he's crap. And I know Wan-Bissaka isn't no good enough either. And that's the problem. We don't have any recognised right back because both of them are shit. If you would have had a player like Frimpong from Bayern Leverkusen, who now has just signed a new contract, you would have questioned, why did we not just sell Dalot, Wan-Bissaka and go and got Frimpong in? Like, seriously, it would have made a lot of logical sense. But unfortunately, we're stuck with Dalot because Wan-Bissaka is still weeks away from bloody returning from injury. So at the end of the day, Man United need to recognise the crap players we've got and the crap players that are unfortunately going to have to start Wednesday. And as for that midfield, we all need to talk about what happened. That whole Amrabat substitution yesterday cost United. It simply cost us the game. The whole defensive organisation went out the window. Mason Mount was brought on for Sofyan Amrabat, and they shifted Scott McTominay back to CDM when he is not a CDM. I'm sorry, Scott McTominay. People saying, oh, Super Scott's back. Super Scott, look at Super Scott McTominay. Did anyone watch how shit he was yesterday? And did anybody see how crap he was against Copenhagen and Brentford and Sheffield United? I'm sorry, people literally got hyped up over 3 goals in 2 games. I mean, it's fucking mental. Like, we are hyping up a B-Tech, bang average League 2 Scottish player in Man United's midfield because he's the only decent Scottish player that gets in the Scotland team. I mean, come on, let's be realistic here. The whole putting Scott McTominay at CDM didn't help. Amrabat did nothing wrong yesterday and kept that midfield secured at the CDM and was taken off in Mason Mount. Either that was due to injury or a precaution, or basically it was done tactically because he was also on a yellow card. Even though Amrabat should not have been booked. And apparently, he overreacted according to Gary Neville. I don't know what game Gary Neville's watching. I mean, it's going to be bad enough watching him on Dragon's Den. I mean, he's not even a fucking dragon. Like, oh my God. I mean, he's not bloody Spyro. I mean, come on. He's not even... I don't know what is up with Gary Neville, but at the end of the day, I mean, look how shit he is as well. I mean, the amount of bollocks he comes out with. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, wake up, Gary. I mean, you're meant to be a pundit. You're an ex-United legend, apparently, who was injury prone. Let's mention that, by the way. I mean, come on. Like, what are you talking about? Like, seriously, what are you talking about? Amrabat's probably one of our best CDMs apart from Casemiro. And I mean, you're slating him saying he overreacted to the Phil Foden challenge. I mean, get a bloody get a grip, Gary, and wake up and look at the reality. He was not at fault yesterday. I'm sorry. That is why we lost the midfield battle. As soon as Amrabat went off and Mount came on, and Mount didn't do anything yesterday. I mean, did anybody see how crap Mount was when he came on? Did he influence anything in that midfield? No. Did he put in a good performance when he came on? No. And we paid 60 million for a 2.0, the Mania Matic Chelsea reject. I mean, no wonder he's at Man United. It is a bloody graveyard shift. It's embarrassing. Like, seriously. Like, can we really realise how bad Mason Mount's transfer's been? Like, he was brought on and did fuck all yesterday. It's embarrassing. Amrabat, I'm sorry, should have been kept on. If anyone should have been substituted, it should have been McTominay and it should have been Eriksen. Another two midfielders that apparently can't do the job Ten Hag's looking for. I'm sorry, Eriksen was bad yesterday. I mean, his age is catching up with him. Even though he's my favourite player, I've got to criticise his performance. Again, what has happened to Eriksen? It's like his performances have fallen off the cliff as well. He couldn't cope with that Man City midfield yesterday. He was getting run rings round him, and it's embarrassing. I mean, he can't even control the ball. I mean, he can't even pass the ball. I mean, it's embarrassing from a world-class footballer like Eriksen is. You would have thought he would have put in performance yesterday, and simply, it didn't happen. And now, we are stuck with him. And I think yesterday, it showed up Eriksen against a younger midfielder that Man City have. You look at the options. Eriksen can't compete against that. And we all know he can't. And for me, he should have been the one that was substituted along with Scott McTominay. But, you know, having Casemiro out, and you're going to have to hope he plays Wednesday. Because I think for me, if we're going to talk about a midfield strong three for Wednesday, McTominay needs to be dropped. Eriksen needs to be dropped. And I think for me, Casemiro has got to play no matter what. I don't care if he ain't fit enough. And I don't want him even starting on the bench. I think we have got to start being a little bit more ruthless and a little bit more strict to these players. I don't care if you're not fit. And I don't care if you can't play 90 minutes. We need you to play Wednesday because have you seen how bad we've been? Like, we are getting run rings around the midfield. The midfield gets no control. We lose the ball. We lose possession. And the opposition team are then on the counter-attack and we are getting run rings around us. And it's embarrassing. I said Casemiro and that team is vital towards Man United's rebuild. And yesterday, it showed a lot. It showed yesterday how badly we are missing Casemiro. And Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher and Graham Souness can say as much as they fucking want. Casemiro, in the last 2 years, has probably been Man United's best player they fucking ever had in their career. And I think for me, in my view, without him yesterday, that is why the midfield lost the battle. If you would have had Casemiro and Amrabat playing yesterday, Man United would have not lost that game. Because when you've got McTominay and Amrabat and Fernandes in that midfield three, it clearly doesn't work. And nor does Mason Mount. I'm sorry. If we have to sell Mason Mount in the summer, please do it. Please fucking do it. And try and get what you can from him. Because at Man United, it is not worked out. As soon as you gave him that number 7 shirt, bang, pressure on his shoulders. Absolute pressure. I'm sorry, it's true. As soon as he was given that number 7 shirt, bang, career over. And he's probably going to go down as probably one of the worst number 7s this club's ever had. I mean, Michael Owen did a better job. So did Valencia. So did Ronaldo. And so did Cavani. Mason Mount has been a joke. And for me, he ain't getting in that team Wednesday. I would be dropping him permanently. He clearly ain't fit. I think for me, he doesn't even want to be here. He wanted to go to Liverpool. He wanted to go to Arsenal. And Man United took a punt on him and paid 60 fucking million for him. How's that worked out for you? Oh, shit. Well, it hasn't worked out, is it? Well, yeah, it hasn't, is it? Quite clear to the naked eye. So I think for me, shouldn't even be in the squad. I'm sorry. I would sell him in January if I had the option. If someone came in from out in January, I'd do it. I'd sell him. I would really, really do it. He may be good on EA Sports 24, but in real life, he's absolutely wank. So I think for me, if Casemiro's fit, you're going to have to play him. Amrabat keeps his place. And I think we need Bruno Fernandes to step up as well. At the moment, look how bad Bruno's been since he's been given the captaincy. Does it surprise me? No, it doesn't. Because all that guy's doing is moaning. He moans like a bitch. I mean, come on. He moans and moans and moans and moans and moans. When the decision doesn't go away, he picks up needless, yellow cards and then gets frustrated even more. I mean, I don't know what's happened to Bruno. He was shit against Brentford and Copenhagen. He was shit against Sheffield United. And yesterday, he was bloody non-existent. And he's meant to be the captain. He's meant to be the leader. Are we seeing that leadership from him? No, we're not. We're not seeing any kind of leadership. We are seeing bang average midfield performances from him. And he's not stepping up. You would have thought, having that captaincy, he would be honoured to have that round his arm, leading Man United out week in, week out. And at the moment, he's not. And for me, does he need to be dropped? And is Roy Keane right? Does that captaincy need to be taken off him? Realistically, to get Fernandes back to where he should be. Because every captain we've had, has anyone realised how badly it's gone wrong? First Maguire and now Bruno Fernandes. I mean, does it bloody surprise me? It doesn't. I mean, I would rather, at the moment, not anyone be a captain of that club. Because there ain't no leaders in that team. There ain't no role models that can get you off your feet. No one. Absolutely no one. And I think for me, that decision has to be made over his captaincy, over his future. And I think for me, he has to be dropped Wednesday. I don't care if he doesn't like it. He needs to step up. So we move on, to the front three. I think one big decision needs to be made, and that is Marcus Rashford needs to be dropped. I mean, what has happened to Rashford? I don't know. I've got no clue what is happening to Marcus Rashford. 14 games, 1 goal. Gets called up for England, scores a belter against Italy, and still gets named in this Man United team. And since then, car crash against Sheffield United, car crash against Copenhagen, and he was a car crash against Man City. So that's another 3 games without a goal. We've played 14 fucking games. 14 games. 15 on Wednesday. And he has still not scored 1 goal. I mean, why is he not being dropped? Has to be questioned. Does Ten Hag really have the options to drop Rashford? Or is Rashford getting in there due to favouritism? Is another assumption I would think of. Is Rashford being picked due to favouritism? And I think Ten Hag doesn't want to drop him because he looks at the rest of the team. He clearly doesn't rate Palestri. I think we've all got to realise that. Palestri's crap anyway. Garnacho, he clearly doesn't think he's ready. And without Ahmad, we don't really have a right winger. And Anthony as well. I mean, when he was brought on with 5 minutes to go, before that, you saw him shaking his head on the bench. I mean, that's another player we have wasted 85 fucking million on. And now look at the situation we're in. Clearly, doesn't want to be here. I think Anthony should not even be back playing football. I'm sorry. He was rushed back in due to the lack of options Manchester United have got. And it is true. It is very, very true to the naked eye. The allegations and the accusations Anthony was going through has cost him his career at Man United, because since then, he's been dropped back to the bench. And he was rightly dropped yesterday. But if you look at that right wing, we had no clear right winger. And we miss that right winger. You can't put Rashford there. He's not a right winger. You can't put Garnacho there. He's not a right winger. And I think for me, Rashford needs to be dropped. And he needs to be permanently dropped for the next 3 or 4 games. I'm sorry. It needs to happen because someone needs to tell him you are way out of form. You're way too inconsistent. Your attitude and your body language stinks. You're not busting a gut anymore. You're not even trying. And for me, you're letting this side down because you're the only decent left wing we've got. And I think for me, it comes no surprise. It comes to me no surprise that Rashford has gone back to being like this. Last season was a one-hit wonder season. It was a one-hit wonder season. And now look where we are. We are back to the same old Marcus Rashford again. He's been absolutely trash. And he deserves to be called Marcus Rashford. I'm sorry. If he doesn't like being called trash, he should be at this club. But when you're underperforming and you're not stepping up, you shouldn't be in this United team. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. It needs to be told. He needs to be dropped Wednesday. I would bring Garnacho in and play a front three of Garnacho, Højlund, and maybe if Ahmad's fit, play fucking Ahmad. If Ahmad's fit Wednesday and he's back in training today, give him 45 minutes and let's see what he can do. Because at the moment, the trust is gone with Anthony. The Rashford time is running out. And we haven't really got another right winger. We all need to realise Pellistri not good enough to play for this club. We realise now the last 4 games in a row, clearly Pellistri not wanted. And we need to sell him so he can have a career at another club. If they can find a permanent move in January, let United do it. Because at the moment, I am sick to death of people saying, oh, Pellestri's the future. Oh, he should be putting in this team. He's fucking crap. Have anyone realised against Brentford he didn't play? Sheffield United he didn't play. Copenhagen he didn't play. Man City didn't play. That's 4 fucking games. He's not played for Manchester United and people think he's the future. No, he clearly isn't, is he? Because he's not playing any games for us. And people need to realise that. I'm sorry, it's true. He is not the answer. And if people think he wants to be the answer, no. Not in my lifetime. And I'm sorry, but the people want to say Pellestri's got a chance here, and Pellistri, is going to be what we all want and what we're all looking for. No, I'm sorry. I would, that front three has got to step up. And I think, maybe we have to call on Ahmad, or maybe Anthony gets a game. But, down the middle, we've got an unperforming striker. I mean, that is Sheffield United, Brentford, FC Copenhagen, and now Man City. That is 4 games without Rasmus Højlund finding the back of the net. And there's a lot of heat pressure on his shoulders. There is, for a 20-year-old striker, there is so much pressure on his shoulders. And I feel for him because there's a lack of service from the left wing. There's a lack of service from the right wing. And they can't get the ball into the box. And he can't get on the end to anything because it isn't there to be dealt with. And I think for me, at the end of the day, I feel for Rasmus. I really do. He has come to a club that is under huge scrutiny, under huge pressure. And his price tag probably isn't helping him. We paid over 80 million for Rasmus Højlund. He has gone 3 Premier League games without a goal, 1 Champions League game without a goal, and that's 4 games in a row without a goal. And I did say Rasmus Højlund would not be enough. I said this. I know I rate him, and I do think he's got the ability to be the next Erling Haaland. I still stand by that. But at the end of the day, Man United, it should have been Harry Kane and Rasmus Højlund, not one or the other. It should have been Harry Kane or Victor Osimhen. It should have been Harry Kane, Osimhen and Højlund. But because United messed the transfer window up and used financial fair play and sell to buy ball crap, look where we are now. We've got no recognised striker. We've got a striker that can't put the ball in the net. We've got 2 inconsistent wingers that have got no firepower, energy or passion in a United shirt anymore. And United are relying on the midfield and the defence to get them goals. There's your problem. And look at the mess we're in. It's embarrassing. It really, really is. And I want these players to put in a performance Wednesday. They've got to. They have got to deliver Wednesday. If we go out this Carabao Cup and we don't defend it and we don't win a trophy this season, I can't stand by this club anymore. I'm sorry, I can't keep doing it. Not just for my mental health, but my anxiety as well. I can't stand by a club that are making too many bad decisions. But, let's see what happens on Wednesday. Let's see if we can win this game. Let's see if we can get through to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. And let's see if we can go on and defend this trophy. But it's going to be an unlikely one. It's going to be tough. And I'm not saying this is going to be a walkover. Newcastle are going to come to this game full of confidence. They're going to look at United and they're going to look at the mess we're in. And it wouldn't surprise me if we go out. It wouldn't surprise me. Or this goes to penalties. But if we're playing a full-strength team, which is going to have to happen, we can't rotate. We're going to have to go Onana, Dalot, Lindelof, Varane, Reguilon, Amrabat, Casemiro, Fernandes. For me, Ahmad, Højlund and Garnacho. I think for me, those three have to play up front. And I think for me, all three of those will guarantee you goals. Let's see where United do better without Rashford in the team. Let's see how we do without Maguire being a letdown and Diego Dalot. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go for 2-0 Man United. That is going to be my score prediction, but that's more on hope, positivity and confidence that I have. But let's see what happens. So I hope you enjoyed the preview. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video, hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. Remember to always put the notification bell on at all times as well to receive dedicated content right throughout the rest of the last few months in this year in 2023. We've got more Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 4 Last Resort. We're going back to the OG map on Friday, back to the Chapter 1 map. We've got more Rocket League Season 12 Porsche. We've got more EA Sports FC24 content coming up today with our Man United career mode. We're getting back for that Season 2 today. More previews, more match reactions, and then obviously join me for the match reaction Wednesday night, which hopefully is a Manchester United win. Hopefully we can get back to winning ways. Hopefully put in a good performance at Old Trafford. Let's beat Newcastle. Let's get through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup and let's go on and defend this because United are reliant on the cup competitions. I think if we can win the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, we're going to have to take it. But let's see what happens. Enjoy the rest of your Monday afternoon. Stay safe, be nice, be kind to each other. You're all legends, you're all legendary, and I'll see you on the next one.